Yalimada, I hope you're all keeping safe and well. My name is Naz Premji and I'll be your host for this evening. Before I share the programme for tonight, here are some highlights of the board activities this week. Following the positive response to the previous diabetes support group, join the Aga Khan Health Board tomorrow, the 14th of March at 12 p.m. for the first group session of 2021. The majority of diabetes management takes place within an individual's family environment. The session is an opportunity for people with diabetes, as well as their family members, to share their experiences of changes in lifestyle management as a family. The group will be led by healthcare professionals and will be a platform for the Jamaat to support each other through shared experiences of individuals living with diabetes, be it themselves, a family member, or a friend. On Monday, the 15th of March, join the Aga Khan Health Board's Mindful Mondays. Get away from your busy schedule and take time to notice what's going on around you. Mindfulness is the process of purposely bringing one's attention to experiences occurring in the present moment without judgment. We look forward to seeing you on Monday, the 15th of March at 8:30 p.m. We kickstart some of the physical exercise classes this week with BollyFit on Tuesday at 8 p.m. with Alia Megji. This class combines fitness, Bollywood dance together with the latest Bollywood music and creates a fun and energetic dance routine to enable everyone to enjoy. Ismaili Student Network's Token Thursday this week is a collaboration with the Health and Wellness team, with a focus on the all-important theme of stress management. Despite constantly hearing advice on managing stress effectively, it is something we often neglect. It's important to address ways we manage stress in our lives. Take a look at some of these tips on social media this Thursday to manage your stress, whatever that may be. Another physical exercise class this week is Bolly Beats, which will be on Thursday, with a beginner's class at 8 p.m, and for the intermediate class it's 8:30 p.m. for anyone wishing to keep fit and stay active. Next weekend we begin the celebrations for the Festival of Navroz. On Friday evening at 8 p.m, we begin with a Mendi night on your local Jamati Zoom calls, details of which will be provided by your Jamati Mukhi Kamariya. Following the local Jamati Zoom calls at 9 p.m, join us for Dam Hamadam Ali Ali, a devotional journey on Ismaili TV, with music by the band Fitur and poems from Shimmering Lights read by members of the UK jurisdiction Jamaat. Fitur strives to provide an exciting and meaningful musical experience to its audiences, presenting traditional music with a new flavour, considering the significant role music plays in cultural, intellectual and social lives of communities. Fitur aims to keep musical traditions alive for both younger and older crowds. We hope you can all join us at 9 p.m. for this incredible event. On Saturday the 20th of March, there are a number of children's activities throughout the day, including local Betul Ilm activities. These Betul Ilm activities include early childhood development, lower primary with the ABC Toolbox, Navroz edition, and the primary and secondary Betul Ilms with Navroz Vision Board incorporating the theme of renewal, spring, and new life. In the evening, the Jamaat is invited to a concert by Natasha Baig, the first female artist from Hunza who sings mostly in the Sufi rock genre. Natasha started her musical career in 2013, performing in the reality show Cornetto Music Icons, and has been nominated twice in the Lux Style Awards. She has also recently had her debut album out in 2020 called Zaria. If that wasn't enough, join the Ismaili Student Network at 9 p.m. for the ISN Navroz Music Night 3.0 with music by a number of DJs. On the day of Nowruz, Sunday, the 21st of March, we begin with another local Jamati Zoom call. That's at 11 a.m, where you'll be able to celebrate the festival with your Jamaat together and watch various Nowruz videos, including a message from the National Council leadership. In the afternoon at 1 p.m, the Youth Club Network will run some of their Show Me How sessions, which on Sunday will show you how to make your very own Haftzin table. At 3 p.m, the Aga Khan Social Welfare Board are hosting a Jashne Nowruz. It's a special celebration of tradition and culture, including a live music party hosted by AKSWB. In the evening on Ismaili TV, you'll be able to watch a 30-minute inspirational and educational program called Hope Springs Eternal. That will explore the meaning, significance, and history of Nowruz, as well as the diverse ways in which the festival is celebrated in different parts of the world, including the significance of the Haftzin table and Rozi. And finally, to end the celebrations, the Aga Khan Youth and Sports Board are hosting a live Ras Garba and Central Asian dance for the Jamaat to participate in at 8 p.m. on Zoom. The full programme, including details of how to join the various events and activities, will be available in Al Sahar and on social media this week, so do please keep an eye out. And now on to tonight's programme. Over the coming weeks, as the government restrictions begin to ease, many of us will start to see our individual situations changing, our personal restrictions slowly easing, and our interaction with family and friends increasing over time, albeit still with physical distancing in place. We very much hope that this starts to bring a boost to how each of us actually feel as we move slowly out of lockdown. Today's programme is from the Time to Think series and covers reflections on 2020 and a look ahead with Dr. Shiraz Gabani. Dr. Shiraz Gabani is head of the Department of Community Relations at the Institute of Ismaili Studies, London. In his capacity as an Alwais for the last 35 plus years, Dr. Gabani has engaged extensively with Ismaili audiences across more than 20 countries worldwide. This session will allow us to reflect on 2020 and look ahead with Dr. Shiraz Gabani. Following that, we have a few Sing-Along Saturdays to share by the Aga Khan Youth and Sports Board. Sing-Along Saturdays features past and present music. The first video tonight is called Spring, appropriate for the upcoming Festival of Nowruz, and is composed by the Ismaili Community Ensemble for their concert entitled People, Planet, Purpose, Starting With Me. ICE composed all of their own music, and this song was inspired by their love for Qawwali music. Spring looks at a new beginning, a lovely reminder of how beautiful change can be. The second Sing-Along Saturday is entitled Shukran, a beautiful piece collaboratively composed by members of Ruhi, a multicultural musical ensemble celebrating diversity through music. It seamlessly brings together melodic, soulful rags from the East, spiritually uplifting styles from the Middle East, and upbeat rhythms of the West, also highlighting a rap. Diversity is also reflected in the lyrics covering 4 languages: Arabic, Hindi, English, and Persian, taking inspiration from esteemed poets like Rumi. The final Sing-Along Saturday tonight is a piece called Yaqeen, meaning belief. This composition celebrates the legacy of our beloved Imam and the love we have for him. The musical fuses classical Western styles with jazz, Arabic, and Indian influences, and is played by 20 musicians, all of whom have contributed to the music-making process. The lyrics, sung in both English and Urdu, were devised by vocalists themselves. This piece celebrates the diversity of our Jamaat and the beliefs and values that bind us all. That's all from me. I hope you enjoy tonight's programme. Remember to book your diaries for the Navroz weekend, 19th to the 21st of March. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and Yali Madat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yari Madad. Let me begin by wishing all viewers a very happy new year. May it bring much joy, barakah, and peace for all of us, as well as much needed relief from the COVID-19 pandemic. What a year it has been. In addition to the pandemic that has wreaked havoc on our lives and across all societies, 2020 also saw the rise of a global movement for racial and social justice, as well as a renewed urgency to address climate change. This year has brought more change in our lives than we could have imagined. The much used phrase, everything changed, is perhaps more true of 2020 than for any other year in our times. Even our vocabulary has changed dramatically. Terms like social distancing, contact tracing, and flattening the curve have entered our lexicon. And let's not forget Zooming and Zoom bombing. You know, today is a special day for all of us. But have you ever wondered why it is so? I mean, this day is by no means distinct from any other day on earth. And yet, billions of people are united in celebration on this day. Perhaps it is our need as humans to organize our lives meaningfully and to rely on markers like the beginning of a year to keep track of the passage of time. It is, after all, these markers that allow us to reflect on the past and imagine the possibilities of the future. So that is what I hope to do in my talk today. More specifically, I will share my perspective on what we have learned as societies and as a Jamaat from the experiences of 2020, and what might we look forward to in the new year. To be sure, there was much taken from us in 2020. More than 1.7 million people lost their lives. More than 100 million additional people were pushed into extreme poverty. Many millions have lost their jobs, their homes, and their businesses. At a personal level, many lost their loved ones but were not able to grieve. We have not been able to pray or celebrate together for months on end. Long plotted family, educational, and career goals have had to be deferred. The onslaught on our physical and mental health has been unbearable for many. Our very sense of time has been warped by an interminable series of groundhog days of Zoom meetings or other such routines. If nothing comes from all of this loss and suffering, then 2020 will just be remembered as a lost year. But I think as a society, we have learned much from this experience. You know, one of the consequences of the pandemic has been that some of the fractures in our societies, which were somewhat subterranean, became apparent, almost like an X-ray. The racial, economic, and class divides have always been there in our societies, but they have been exacerbated by the pandemic. Look, the coronavirus infects without regard to class, creed, or color, but its impact has not been the same on everyone. For those who have spacious homes, jobs that allow them to work from home, or substantial savings that can sustain them or their businesses during these difficult times, this has just been a great inconvenience. But others who live in cramped quarters or have lost their jobs or businesses and have no savings, this has been a disaster, a time of great turmoil and of futures stolen. While most of us can use the internet to do all of our banking, shopping, and communications, Those on the wrong side of the digital divide are completely left out and excluded. So I think what we have learned, or at least should learn from this, is that much more work remains to be done and done urgently to repair these fractures. In an article penned shortly before his sad demise in August 2018 by the late Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General and Nobel laureate, as well as a former member of the board of directors of the Global Center for Pluralism, he wrote, and I quote, "The scale of global economic inequality is staggering and shaming. According to recent research, the number of billionaires rose by the biggest amount ever in 2017, while over half the world's population lives on between $2 and $10 a day. The 2018 World Inequality Report shows the share of wealth held by the top 1% of earners in the US doubled from 10% to 20% between 1980 and 2016, while the bottom 50% fell from 20% to 13% in the same period. Millions of people across the world feel left behind and betrayed as the uneven benefits of globalization divide societies into winners and losers on an unprecedented scale. Income of the middle and working classes in developed countries have stagnated, and their livelihoods are becoming ever more vulnerable to technological change and global competition." Unquote. Recognizing these social inequalities and understanding the perspectives of those who are on different sides of these divides would be an important learning for all of us. So, for instance, many of us might be quite pleased and looking forward to benefiting from one of the vaccines that have been developed to protect us from COVID-19. But we must not forget that the equitable distribution of the vaccine across the world, particularly to poorer countries, remains a major challenge to be addressed. Amongst other lessons we have learned through the challenges in 2020 is the importance of good governance. We have seen the devastating impact of the pandemic due to the poor quality of governance in some of the richest nations in the world. Equally, we have seen how good governance has enabled some societies to minimize the damage from this crisis. It is not an issue of more or less governance, nor even of the type of governance, such as authoritarian or liberal. But what we have learned is that governance, irrespective of whether it is of a country, community, or organization, must entail ethical conduct, transparency, pluralism, effectiveness, sound financial management, and accountability for it to be able to deliver the services that are needed. You know, Maulana Hazrat Imam has been highlighting the importance of this for nearly 3 decades. In an interview published in the Financial Times in August 1991, he is reported as saying, and I quote, "I cannot think of anything more central to development than good government. I don't think you can through external forces impose good government. Good government comes from within, not from outside. And I would tend to say good governance rather than good government." And then the reporter goes on to say that by governance, he means the competence with which both public and private sector entities are run, from higher education to the management of resources to intelligent and honest planning, with clearly stated objectives and answerability for the people who are responsible for running things. Unquote. I think the pandemic has also reminded us of our interdependence and of all the really important work that many people do but are usually undervalued, underpaid, and overworked. The pandemic has taught us to rightly call them key, essential, or frontline workers. They include nurses, doctors, and other medical professionals, emergency responders, care workers, teachers, bus drivers, and other facilitating public transportation, supermarket workers, garbage collectors, postal workers, and other such people who have allowed us to continue some semblance of a normal life while putting themselves at risk to a potentially lethal illness. For too long, I think, we have taken them for granted while celebrating actors, musicians, sports stars, and the like. It is my fervent hope that this pandemic has taught us to value them and the important work that they do. Perhaps another important thing we have realized during the crisis is the potential for technology to facilitate our lives. Since around March last year, we have been forced to spend most of our times indoors and online, making us quite dependent on technological devices for interaction with colleagues and family members beyond our homes. The pandemic has also forced businesses to seek ways to cut costs and adapt their business models in view of changing consumer behavior, particularly as a consequence of lockdowns and stay at home orders. All of this has elevated the mediating role of technology in our lives, and its consequences are likely to be long lasting and transformative. For instance, we have learned that many of us can work from home without compromising efficiency or effectiveness. We can continue our education via learning management systems offered by schools and universities. We can even get health advice from doctors and other professionals via online platforms. All of this is great, but it comes with many risks related to privacy, human relations, physical and psychological health, and so on. We should also not be oblivious to the adverse impact of excessive use of social media that leads to waste of time, creating echo chambers, spreading fake news and deep fake videos, and cyberbullying, etc. Maulana Hazar Imam referred to some of these challenges in a speech he delivered at the Nation Media Group Printing Press commissioning ceremony in Nairobi in March 2016. He said, and I quote, "All over the world, the number of media voices is exploding. Websites, bloggers, and social media voices multiply every day. The result is often a wild mix of messages, good information and bad information, superficial impressions, fleeting images, and a good deal of confusion and conflict. And this is true all over the world. The result, some people say, is that we live in a post-fact society. It's not just that everyone feels entitled to his or her own opinion. That's a good thing. But the problem comes when people feel they are entitled to their own facts. What is true too often can then depend not on what actually happened, but on whose side you are. And so publics all over the world can begin to fragment and societies can drift into deadlock." Unquote. The danger of this post-fact society are being witnessed as I speak, particularly with regard to COVID-19 and the vaccines that have been developed. Learning to decipher between good information and bad information will remain important for the foreseeable future. Of course, there are many other lessons one can learn from the experiences of 2020, but I would now like to turn to our Jamaat and how we have fared during this global crisis. I think we have been incredibly fortunate to have the blessing of a living Imam whose guidance has shaped our thoughts and our lives in profound ways. It is his prescient teachings that allowed us to adjust to the new realities quickly. One manifestation of it is this very talk that you are watching. Could you have imagined just a year ago that we would have Ismaili TV and all of this online programming for the Jamaat worldwide? Even Maulana Hazar Imam's messages to the Jamaat are reaching us via the .ismaili website. Used intelligently and cautiously, these channels can serve the goals that Maulana Hazar Imam has to demystify Islam and effectively articulate our Ismaili identity and beliefs to the world at large. Another manifestation of the impact of our beloved Imam's guidance has been the incredible outpouring of support and assistance we have witnessed, not just through the institutional channels, but also by what we like to call silent angels, who quietly go around supporting people who need help. I've seen people delivering groceries to the elderly, I know many who have spent hours making calls to ensure that those who might be lonely or vulnerable are not forgotten. Thousands of Ismailis have volunteered innumerable hours of their time to support people in need in the wider societies among whom we live, in many diverse ways. We have applied the ethics of our faith when it mattered most. The spirit of one united Jamaat with a strong social conscience has been palpable. Perhaps one of the most painful aspects of this pandemic for many has been our inability in many parts of the world to come together for prayers and celebrations in our Jamaat khanas. The very space that we saw as a sanctuary in all difficult times has not been accessible to many of us for a prolonged period. Yet, in most of my conversations with murids across the world, I've heard them articulate the oft repeated sentiments about the importance of the batin that is represented by the zahir, and that ours is an esoteric tradition, which means that the practice of our faith can continue at our homes, with our families, in the ethical and caring ways in which we live our lives, even in these difficult and challenging circumstances. So I think as a Jamaat, we have come through reasonably well. Yes, there have been tragedies and difficult times, but with the blessings and guidance of our beloved Imam and the Jamati institutional support, we have been buffered. Inshallah, we will emerge stronger and more resilient from this crisis with a renewed commitment to our faith and our Imam. Nearly a year into this COVID 19 crisis, most of us are fatigued and longing for an end to this nightmare. Fortunately, with the grace of God and the ingenuity of many scientists, we can see light at the end of this long tunnel as vaccines are starting to be delivered across many countries. Inshallah, we will soon be able to return to our Jamaat khanas, meet each other face to face, hug each other, and shake hands. But life will probably never get back to what was normal before the pandemic. And perhaps it shouldn't. The famous Indian author and political activist Arundhati Roy explains this well in her article in the Financial Times. She writes, and I quote, "Nothing could be worse than a return to normality. Historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their worlds anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly, with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it." Unquote. I think she has got it right. We must make wise choices as we move forward. Let the new normal reflect the learning from the crisis of 2020, developing a renewed respect and care for the environment, smart and responsible use of technology, playing our part in supporting good governance at all levels, recognizing and addressing the inequities and injustices in our midst and in society, appreciation of all those who do critical work that we could not do without, and devoting time to what is really important and meaningful in our lives. I hope and pray that the new normal will be more ethically enlightened, leading to a better world for all. Thank you for listening to this talk, and once again, a very happy New Year to you all. Ya Ali Madad.
Sasaga, gagama, nida parara, gama gama gasa. Gama ba nida ba ba gama gama sa. Sa nida ba gama gama, nida gama gama sa. Sasaga, gagama, mababa, nida ba. 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 Sasa nida nini gama 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 sasa. شكور مكونا
you recite, in my heart they reside. Your blessings are with me till the day that I die. Look to the stars and I see your smile, so full of love, so full of joy. Hazard Imam, Imam is a man. You've helped us become united as one. Let me see you put your hands together in praise and love of our beloved Mola. Thank him for all that he's given us. Thank him for the love that he's shown us. Thank him for the path that he's paved us. Thank him for always being there for us during the times when things got kind of rough. The light of his nur shined above us.
ما صوت الناي نور قلبي ما صوت